Hey everyone, Colton here and welcome to Comics Alliance. So, I think that I may have deduced where the MCU's Universe 616 Fantastic Four may have been hiding, or should I say trapped, all of this time, and the specific Kang variant that I think is responsible for their disappearance. So, as you know, we are living in the Multiverse Saga of the MCU. Thus far, we have met two versions of Kang the Conqueror, He Who Remains in Loki, and then a version of Kang in Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
So, what's it gonna be? Ant-Man.
And I think it is likely that we are going to meet more versions of the character on our journey to Avengers the Kang Dynasty. And I think one of them may be introduced in the upcoming Fantastic Four solo film. In this film, we may meet the very first Kang to ever grace the pages of Marvel Comics, Rama Tut.
Who?
Rama Tut is a variant of Kang that we actually saw teased in the penultimate episode of Loki when we saw his time-traveling Sphinx in the Void. Now, his real name, like Kang himself, is Nathaniel Richards, a scientist from the 30th century in the comics or from the 31st century in the films.
A variant of myself lived on Earth in the 31st century. He was a scientist, and he discovered that there were universes stacked on top of his own.
So, before he was Kang, before he sought multiversal domination, he was merely a bored scientist who sought some excitement in his life. So, he traveled back in time via a time machine that he designed to look like a sphinx, and he went to ancient Egypt. There he conquered for the first time and became known as Rama Tut. Now, this story took place in 1961's Fantastic Four Volume 19. In this comic, we see the Fantastic Four also travel back in time to ancient Egypt, where they encounter Rama Tut. So, this has me wondering, could we see the solo Fantastic Four film that comes out in Phase 6 of the MCU pull a Captain Marvel and take place prior to even Phase 1? The Fantastic Four comics first debuted in 1961, including the issue I just mentioned, the one including Rama Tut. And I've always felt that the 1960s would be an awesome era to showcase the Fantastic Four in a film, especially if you want to differentiate this version from the prior films that weren't so great, as well as the, let's face it, the oversaturated superhero genre that takes place in the modern day. Going back in time could give us something a little different, something new. When the X-Men franchise needed a bit of a jolt following X-Men The Last Stand and Origins Wolverine, we saw X-Men First Class jump back to the early 60s, and getting to see those heroes in the time period that they were originally written to be in was such a new and refreshing take as opposed to setting it in modern day. So, why not do the same for the Fantastic Four? This Fantastic Four movie will likely be the first time that we meet the Fantastic Four of the MCU's mainline 616 universe. I say that because yes, we have met a variant of Reed Richards' Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four in Universe 838. More on him in a bit. Now, Marvel could go the route of saying that the Fantastic Four have yet to form in Universe 616, the mainline MCU, and this solo film could feature their origin story, but I'm seriously doubting it. We've seen two Fantastic Four origin stories in just the last 17 years, and while they're no Spider-Man or Batman, the general audience for the most part has an understanding of who these guys are.
Fantastic Four. Didn't you guys chart in the 60s?
And Marvel Studios has never been one for retelling origin stories. Hulk's origin story was already told in Ang Lee's Hulk movie, so the MCU's Incredible Hulk just did a quick montage in the opening credits showing us this Hulk's origin. Same thing with the MCU's Spider-Man. We get a few mentions here or there about his history, but for the most part, audiences know how Spider-Man came to be. The MCU didn't make us watch Uncle Ben die for a third time. Instead, they just jumped right into it, brought him into Civil War, and then gave him his own movie with him already as Spider-Man. Now, if they do go the route of introducing the Fantastic Four as an already established team, the question would then become, okay, so where have they been during all of the MCU movies? Why haven't we seen them, or at least heard mention of them? Well, that is yet another reason that I say set it in the 1960s. Long before Captain Marvel comes to Earth, before Tony Stark becomes Iron Man, before the Avengers assemble for the first time. Set it before all of that. And then to explain why we don't have an elderly Fantastic Four team in the modern MCU 616, that's because, you guessed it, They traveled back in time and are now trapped. Perhaps traveled back in time to ancient Egypt, where they met Rama Tut, aka the villain of the Multiverse Saga, Kang the Conqueror. So my pitch is that the Fantastic Four movie loosely adapts issue 19 of the 1961 comic. Give us like a solid 45 minutes to an hour of the Fantastic Four in 1960s New York. Let us meet the characters, learn who they are, see them having fun, fighting crime, cracking jokes.
Johnny!
Hell, even have them interact with a young Howard Stark, Hank Pym, and Peggy Carter, establish them as parts of the MCU history. And then, for the second act, lead us into a slimy timey-wimey, have the Fantastic Four travel back in time.
Time travel!
The question would then become, how do they travel back in time, especially with them being in the 1960s? As far as we know, no one has discovered time travel prior to Tony Stark in the 616 universe, as we saw in Endgame.
Shit!
But perhaps another really smart person, perhaps the smartest man alive at the time, Reed Richards, did discover a form of time travel that was then lost once he became lost in time. In the Fantastic Four, they are infamously connected to the negative zone, but I think that the negative zone in the MCU will be replaced by the quantum realm. We've already seen the MCU combine places like the microverse and limbo from the comics into what we know as the quantum realm in the MCU. So I would assume instead of creating another parallel dimension with weird properties and civilizations like the negative zone, just go ahead and say it's the quantum realm.
Do you guys just put the word quantum in front of everything?
We know that via the quantum realm you are able to time travel. So what if the smartest man alive, Reed Richards, also discovers that time travel is possible once he discovers the quantum realm? And then when he and the Fantastic Four want to go explore this newfound world, the Fantastic Four become lost in the realm. And perhaps they get shot out at a different point in time, ancient Egypt. And this is where we will see the Fantastic Four meet yet another variant of Jonathan Majors' Kang, Rama Tut. Imagine a scene where we get to see Rama Tut say to the Fantastic Four that he recognizes them, which would catch them way off guard considering they aren't supposed to exist yet. A scene like this actually does happen in the comic, and Rama Tut reveals that he is too a time traveler. We also learn in the comic that Rama was only able to travel back in time because he stumbled upon a time machine that belonged to one of his ancestors. So, an ancestor. What is Rama Tut's real name? Nathaniel Richards? And who did I just say discovered time travel in the 60s? Reed Richards? And what would a person from the 1960s who is related to a person from the 31st century be to that person? An ancestor. I think that Reed Richards in the 1960s will discover time travel, and then he and the Fantastic Four will travel back in time and never return, and then centuries later, Reed's time machine plans and technology will be discovered by his descendant, Nathaniel Richards, aka Rama Tut, aka Kang the Conqueror. And when he finds this time machine, he makes it look like a sphinx and then uses it to travel further back in time to ancient Egypt, even further back than the Fantastic Four did, to where he now arrives prior to the Fantastic Four, even though I guess you could say chronologically he left after them.
These timelines are so confusing.
So after that all happens, I think we will see a scenario where Rama Tut and the Fantastic Four have some type of conflict. Perhaps after Rama reveals to them his new desires to conquer all of time and reality, Reed and the other members of the Fantastic Four could say that they're not okay with that and that it's a bad idea. So Rama could then decide to abandon the Fantastic Four in the past with no way of escaping, so that they will be one less obstacle he'll have to face in his quest to conquer the multiverse. We could then see a cool scene where the Fantastic Four and Rama Tut begin to battle throughout the time stream, and this battle could end with the Fantastic Four getting trapped in the quantum realm, and Rama Tut, aka Kang, making his way to the mainline MCU's present day, which is exactly what happened in the comics. And this is actually where Kang, or Rama Tut at the time, meets Doctor Doom. So perhaps this could be where we meet an already fully established Dr. Victor Von Doom as well. perhaps a Doctor Doom who also discovered Reed's time-traveling technology and has also been traveling through time. And then we could see Rama Tut, now in the mainline MCU, be the person who bought Avengers Towers and turned it into Kang Enterprises, which was also teased in The Void. Now, speaking of Doctor Doom, we've already seen a tease at Doctor Doom's time travel device in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This device that Reed Richards uses to teleport into the Illuminati Council Room looks like it may be more than a teleporter between physical locations, but between different times as well. It looks a lot like the time travel device that Doom uses in the comics. The same time machine that the Fantastic Four actually used in this comic to go back in time to ancient Egypt. So, what if the Universe 838 Reed Richards is also originally from the 1960s in his universe, and perhaps when he teleports into the Illuminati Council Room, he's teleporting into the future of his own timeline to work alongside the Illuminati. And perhaps the reason it doesn't call as an alternate timeline, therefore an alternate universe, is because it was supposed to happen.
What they did was supposed to happen. You escaping was not.
According to whom?
The Timekeepers.
And we know that the 838 universe with Christine Palmer have the ability to monitor the existence of other universes. So perhaps once they learned that Reed's travel between the 1960s and their present day wasn't causing alternate universes, they therefore were not risking incursions.
An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
So let me know, what do you think? Do you think the Fantastic Four movie will give us a whole new Kang variant in Rama Tut, perhaps showing us the origins of the Nathaniel Richards that we heard mentioned in Loki, and giving an explanation as to where the Fantastic Four have been all this time? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and you can also feel free to @ me on Twitter. If you're new here, please do feel free to subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. Join the Alliance, we'd love to have you. My name's Colton, I'll see you next time.